Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. My name's Neil and I have no idea what I'm doing. Now, I've started a number of these videos that way over the course of the few videos that I have made for this channel, and at different times that's meant very different things. But one overriding point that it has meant is that there are numerous changes that need to be made in my life, and I don't really know how I'm going to about that. I know they need to be changed, but in part I don't know where it's heading, and on top of that, I don't know how I'm going to approach it, which isn't helped by the fact that I don't know where I'm heading. But that statement was brought into pretty sharp focus this week when an odd event took place and got me thinking on a very odd train of thought. Now, I'm in what will eventually be my office at the moment. It's a complete tip because I'm still working on the caravan, which I've talked about previously, and I'll give an update on that. But it's meant that the office went from being unusable to being usable to being usable, but full of rubbish from the rest of the caravan. Anyway, so this week, about 2 weeks ago, one of my hard drives corrupted and I lost my entire DVD collection. When I first left to go traveling, not really traveling, but when I first left to move abroad, I put all of my DVD collection, like from my whole life, onto these hard drives, and I've always backed those hard drives up. And I was actually in the process of backing up that hard drive when that hard drive corrupted. So when that happened, I and everything was lost. I took it in to see if I could get it recovered, and I couldn't get it recovered. I tried first with the little IT knowledge I do have, and then I took it into some professionals, and they looked at it and they said, "Look, sorry," they said we could go through this different process, which was going to be a lot of money, and they said, but it might not work, but you'd still have to pay us, obviously, because we've still got to do all of the work to get it there. Anyway, so I decided not to, and I lost all of that. And so at that point, I decided I would back up the rest of my hard drives. My last iPad corrupted. Didn't corrupt, actually. I think it was a motherboard maybe that had gone or something like that. And I lost all the work from that at that time. So I decided I would back up all of my current hard drives, and so that I made sure that everything I had was there. So I plugged in my main hard drive to back that one up first, and the Mac wouldn't read it. And so I left it and it still wouldn't read it. And 15 minutes later, it still wouldn't read it. And I couldn't even get anything to read this hard drive, like not even see it, let alone anything else. And I thought to myself, I'll go and have a shower. I won't panic. I'll go and have a shower and get ready for the day, because I'd started it going. Like, the hard drive is huge, and I knew it was going to take a long time to transfer all the stuff over to a new hard drive. So I thought I'll go and have a shower and not panic and then come back, because I do know I have had this in the past where I don't know what the hard drive is doing, but the computer is suddenly trying to read all of the data on the hard drive. At least that's what it appears to be doing, and then it will suddenly recognize it at some point and have it all cataloged. I don't know the ins and outs of IT stuff, but this has happened to me before on a number of occasions. But usually if I leave it 10 to 15 minutes, a computer will, or a media player will, recognize the drive and all of its contents. But this time I'd left it for a while and it hadn't seen it. And usually you can see the hard drive as well in something like a disk utility. You see the hard drive. Anyway, just by the by. So I decided I would go and have a shower and then come back and look at it later. Now, that hard drive has everything on it, right? Literally everything is on it. That's all of my personal work is on it, but all of my work is on it. My entire digital career is on it. So other than a few pages of originals that's still on paper, like, everything I've ever done professionally is on there, but everything I've done personally is on there. So all of Jules, all of Welcome to Caliber Bay, all of the games that I've been writing, so that's 4.5 million words just for the Welcome to Caliber Bay, the Bazooka Jules project alone, across games and scripts and stuff like that. But nonetheless, that's still 4.5 million words, plus all of the artwork that's been done for Jules, all of the sketches, all of the character designs, all of that stuff. is all on that hard drive. And as I say, that's without all of my other personal projects, all the game design stuff that I've been working on over the years, other comics that I've worked on over the years. Everything is on there. So while I'm in the shower, I thought to myself, what are you going to do if this disk drive is corrupted? Like really, what are you going to do? Because everything will be gone. Everything I've done, everything I'm working towards, all of the projects that I'm doing to move forward to try and have this creative career of my own. What will you do? And while I was sitting there thinking about that, I was like, would you actually start again? Like completely start afresh? To which I then thought, if the answer to this question is no, then why are you even doing it in the first place? If I wouldn't be willing to start again, why even do it in the first place? So what's weird about that is that I have been having serious doubts about whether I do want to work on my own stuff anymore. Part of what I'm doing, part of this caravan, part of everything that's going on for me at the moment, is because my life is just not in a great situation. My life is not terrible by any stretch. This is not a boo-hoo, woe is me. But my life is not in a place where I want it to be. And if I want it to be somewhere better, I'm the one that's going to have to change that, right? So I'm extremely grateful to have this caravan, to have my luxury lodge, as I refer to it. I'm extremely grateful for the career that I have. At the moment, I work part-time for War Cradle, and that pays me enough to cover my bills. I break even by doing that part-time work with War Cradle. But while I'm breaking even, I don't have anything for the future, and that doesn't include putting something away for the future to have a better future. But the reason I'm part-time is because I find my career to be creatively unfulfilling. As I'm always saying, I'm extremely grateful for my career, but I do find it to be creatively unfulfilling. And as a creative person, I want to be creatively fulfilled. And I don't see why I can't have a creatively fulfilling career, or at least a part of it to be creatively fulfilling. And that's why I've been working on all these projects, and why I've always worked on all these projects. But recently, I've talked about it on here before, this existential crisis of this creative existential crisis. And I have been currently doubting whether I should be doing my own creative projects. Now, there's a number of things tied into that. There's my opinion on art, what it means to be an artist, what it means to be a creative. I don't think they're the same thing. I think a lot of people who refer to themselves as artists, I would refer to them as creatives and not artists. It's a personal definition thing. And that's something I'll talk about in future videos. So I've had my own, the constant barrage of, self-doubt and imposter syndrome has also brought all of this into into question of like, what am I doing? I could go full-time at War Cradle. It would be a 9 till 6 job, 5 days a week. Weekends would become free. I'd get paid holiday, and it would cover my costs and afford me to be able to put money away and all of those things. And so I've just been questioning a lot about what I'm doing, even with the YouTube thing. It's like, what am I even doing here? What am I even trying to do here? It's because the amount of self-doubt that I have means, like, what is it that I'm actually going to be able to give to anybody, on here? And if I was able to give something to anybody on here, what would I want to give them? It's certainly not an ability to draw. I wouldn't be much interested in that. I've talked about that before. Well, I don't know at the moment, because I see a whole lot of people on here giving advice about how to draw, or how to draw comics, how to write games, how to do this. And I listen to their advice, and I just think, it's not that the advice is bad, but I look at their work and their career, and I'm like, who are these people to be giving advice? There are people on the platform, certainly, who are in a position to be giving advice. Absolutely are in a position to be giving advice. But then, and that's not to throw any kind of shade or shame or anything like that. It's actually to say, like, if I have self-doubts about myself, then I have achieved a lot more than a lot of people giving a lot of advice about how to create some of this stuff. Anyway, so I'm in the shower, And I'm thinking, like, what are you going to do if this is all gone? What are you going to do? Are you really going to start again on Welcome to Caliber Bay? Are you really going to start again on Bazooka Jules? Do you really want to do that? And I was really questioning it. But when I took a moment to chill out and look at why I do it and why I continue to do it, even though it does cause me so much anxiety and discomfort and self-doubt and all of those things, is because I am actually proud of what Jules currently is. I've laughed and joked about this before about what Jules was, totally different time and all of that. But when I look at it now and what Jules is, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of Welcome to Caliber Bay. I like Caliber. I would want to read what I've got planned for Welcome to Caliber Bay. And while there was a part of me while I was in the shower thinking, just let it go. Just let it go. Just take full-time work at War Cradle and just, plan for a better future and do it that way. Retirement isn't on the cards for me, and not just because of the financial side of it. I just don't see me stopping doing what I do, right? I don't see me getting to like whatever the retirement age is and being like, okay, well, that was a good run. Time for me to sit back and just play the Xbox all day and go walking through the countryside. I do what I do, self-doubt and all, because I actually do enjoy the creative process. As I've talked about before, I don't really enjoy drawing, but I do enjoy the creative process as a process of creating things, of bringing something from nothing. Well, I don't really do that very much, if I'm honest. I do a lot of combining other things. I'm much in the camp of everything's a remix, still like an artist, on all those kinds of things that talk about the fact that creativity and originality comes from combining things that have gone before in a way that no one's seen before. That's kind of how I see my work. Actually, it's kind of how I see one of my strengths as well. Because one of my strengths creatively is to be able to take what somebody else has done or what somebody else is doing and then just build upon it. And in my opinion, a lot of the times improve upon it. It's all of my self-doubt doesn't mean that I don't look at what I do at times and think, you know what, you do have something to bring to the table. Anyway, so in the shower, I thought to myself, yeah, I will. If I go back out there and this hard drive's gone and everything on it has gone, I will still start again. I would start again. Because it's just in there to get it done. It's just in there to do it, and it's in there to work on it. And I do want part of my career to be, part of my income to be supplemented by a creative part of my career that is working on my own projects. I don't want to get rich. I don't want to get famous. I don't want any of that kind of stuff. I just want to be able to supplement a lot of what I'm doing. Hold on one second. I was just checking something. I've got a monitor down here. I had to look sideways to be able to read what it says. I don't know if this footage is going to come out, actually. We'll see. Anyway, I'm going to get this finished because I want to wrap it up anyway. So the point being is, yes, I would. When I got out of the shower, I was like, and there was part of me that was also thinking, you know what, a fresh start on all this might not be a bad thing anyway. Like an absolute wipe the slate clean and then just start afresh, because the things that have stuck in your head are clearly the things that you think are worth doing in the project. Although that's not entirely true, because my memory is not what it once was. So just because I haven't remembered an aspect of the project doesn't mean that I didn't think it was worth or that it doesn't have work. Anyway, after that, I come out of the shower, and when I went to the computer, it had noticed it, and I am currently in the process of backing it up. But it's just to say that I think whatever we're doing creatively in life, no matter how much you're struggling with it, at times it's worth taking a step back and looking at that project and thinking, would I do this again if I lost all of the work that I'd done from it? If I had to start from scratch and start again from the very beginning, from everything other than just having the idea in your head, would you start again? If you can honestly look at it and say yes, then I would say that's a project worth working on. And all of the projects that in my head I was worried about losing, the work on Steve Huge, the work on Welcome to Caliber Bay, obviously that's the one I'm talking about, but the work on Steve Huge, the work on Swamp Rats, the work on Brittany the Ninja Witch, the work on some of the games that I've been doing, I would start on all of them again. I would go back and start on all of them again. And the ones that didn't come to mind in the panic of, oh my God, have I just lost everything? Then they're the ones that I wouldn't start again. And they're the ones that I didn't even bother mentioning here because they just sit there as a maybe in the future. But I think between the projects that I have just listed there, that's just so much work that it would probably take me until I retired, and more than that. It would take me more than to when I retired. Jules alone is years and years and years and years of work for sure, just to get the comic done. It's years and years and years and years of work without any of the other stuff that I want to add to it. So that's all I wanted to add here. I want to try and make more videos going forward. Now that I'm in a position where I have got, this office is going to be finished soon. I plan on having the caravan finished in the next 6 weeks. Tomorrow I'll do an update on the caravan. It's actually getting dark in here, which is why I was checking what the video was saying. But it's actually getting quite dark in here now, so I'm not going to make another video tonight. And I've got a ton of tidying up to do in the caravan. But tomorrow, when the tidying is done, I'll do a walk through the caravan again and talk about the caravan and where I'm at with it. But I'm thinking in the next 6 weeks, the caravan will be completely finished, as far as finished to a degree where it is completely functional and usable, not where it's just full of rubbish like it is right now. These tables here, I've got this polystyrene here, behind that is all cardboard. All of that stuff is just, at the moment, it's a storeroom that I'm able to sit down in and record a video or two. But within the next 6 weeks, the living room, the bedroom will be done, the living room will be done, the dining room table will be usable, which is part of what I want to do with the channel. What's going to take place on there, I'll talk about that more. I have made some decisions on that. And I'll add some extra updates on other stuff that's gone on, like all of the last 6 months, like 4 months in Thailand. What happened there? Why I didn't put any of the footage up. I've been finding videos saved on my phone all over the place, on my laptop. I might just upload them for the sake of prosperity, just like a video dump of here's everything I filmed during that time, because I talked about a lot. But a lot of it's changed. That's part of the problem with me recording videos is I record something. I've recorded loads of videos. I've recorded this video multiple times, but I record something, and if I don't upload it straight away, something happens in my life, and that video suddenly becomes not irrelevant, but it doesn't feel as relevant as it did when I filmed it the day before, for example. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up now. I've been talking for like 17 minutes. That's quite short for me. Blimey. But it is getting dark in here, and I'm worried that the camera is going to suddenly be like, no, I can't do this anymore. So there'll be other videos coming this week, actually. I just wanted to touch base on something a bit more creative and sort of and everything I've just explained. But I'm not going to edit this. Not until all of this is done. I'm not going to edit any of these videos. I'm probably just going to talk at the camera, repeat myself a lot, waffle on about the future and what you can expect in videos in the future, topics that I might cover. But once I do have all of this going, then I do have plans for the channel. Not solid ones, because I don't really know. I'll talk about those in another video. I'm going to make a note of it right now. I've got a notebook in front of me, so I'm going to make a note of something I want to talk about the kind of content I want to make and what that means for the channel, because what I'm trying to build, but how YouTube seems to be burying channels left, right, and center at the moment. Anyway, all right, I'm going to leave it there. Cheers for watching. If you made it this far, that's a miracle, as it always is when I sit here and waffle at the camera like this. Needless to say that I do still have all of the work on that hard drive, but I would have carried on doing those projects anyway, and I am actively carrying on with those projects. Well, kind of. I'll talk about that in another video. All right, just watching. Till the next one. See ya.